Hello and good morning to everyone that comes across this. Today marks actually 10 years since I posted my first video to this YouTube account. So I was planning like a large blowout with a lot of videos and stuff, and I still want to do that, but I just have not had the time that I've wanted to have to be able to do it. So, what I'm going to do, and right now you guys are with me while I'm cooking my lunch for work. Um, so, what I plan on doing, instead of trying to consolidate everything into one day, which was my major hiccup because I wanted to do everything all at once. I wanted to do 10 the first video for each year that I've done, do a reaction to it, then a reaction to the last video for each year I've done, and then my favorite video from each year, which if you follow my channel, you know I have over 2,000 videos, so that's going to be some work to do to go through all of that. And I wasn't going to include any of the videos that released this year, which I haven't released very many long form content videos this year. But I still want to do that. So what I'm going to do, because it's going to take me time to work on it, I plan on releasing everything by summer. Because I am now getting back into the swing of making my videos and putting them out, and everybody that was watching last night realized I just dropped 8 videos twice in groups of 4. And most of it was stuff I already recorded, and it was already up on Anchor and stuff like that if you listen to me on there. But I really want to get myself back into the motions of doing my videos, putting them up and stuff like that, and I want to start doing more editing. I thought when I got my vacation this week I would have far more time to do it, but I had a lot of stuff for family that needed to be done, and also cleaning that needed to be done in my house. So I didn't get to just go ahead and pound out all the videos like I wanted to. It took me a moment even just to go ahead and do the simple editing I did on the 8 videos that I released last night. So if it took me so much time to get that stuff done and to do the thumbnails, and I really didn't do a lot. I'm going to admit I really didn't do a lot with those videos. It's going to take me a heck of a lot more time to go ahead and plan out the stuff that I really wanted to do. So what I'm going to do is I'll take a day and release the 10 videos for my first video of each year up until this year. Then I'll do a day for reacting to my last videos of the year, and then I'll do a day separate for my favorite videos. And then I will do a day separate for my most popular videos that may not have ended up in one of the other categories. So that one might not even be the same number of videos, but I'm going to spread them out throughout a day. And then I also have plans to just do a few videos based on series that I have, kind of canned, like game ideas that will work on a Wii U or 3DS game ideas, stuff like that. I may do a couple videos for each of those because I do have ideas that I wanted to do. I just never got around to them. So I might do a couple videos for those and include those in those series that are, again, dead. But it's just as a thing because I figure this is my 10th year on YouTube, and I want to do more content. I want to spread more stuff out, and I know I had to take time off of what I was doing because of things I was trying to get taken care of in my personal life. And now that I am kind of balancing that stuff out, I'm doing a little bit better at balancing it. I can't say I'm perfect, but I'm doing a little bit better at balancing that stuff. I'm going to do what I can in order to release more content. This is stuff I really want to put out that I have just had sitting on the back burner. I have like 4 Pitch for Switch videos I have not released. They're just sitting, waiting for me to put them together. I have not released them. I've done the audio recording, I got the thumbnails, I just haven't put the video together. As I say, you're going to be with me all the time. So, while I get all of that done, because I'm just sitting here on ideas, on top of ideas, and then video concepts, I kind of work sort of like Nintendo does. Most of my stuff is evergreen. It can be put out or released at whatever time. But I still have a bunch of stuff I want to do. I want to get back into doing the Gamer Idea Foundry talk, or Game Idea Foundry talk, and all the other stuff I had already set into motion. And then let's put this on hiatus while I'm taking care of all this other stuff I'm trying to work on for a while. And I should have planned a little bit better. That was one of my big problems. I didn't plan everything out as well as I thought I did. And I figured I would have time to just get a whole bunch of stuff done. But I didn't. So now that all of that pretext is out the way, I figured I could do at least a brief talk, a brief discussion for those who don't know, or those who are more recent to my channel, who may not have been following me for the years that a lot of other people that are subscribed to my channel have been doing. And that's kind of just to give a rundown of my history and how I got to being the Game Idea guy. I honestly almost started this off with the whole old GVGIU spiel because it was something that was on my mind, but I didn't want to do it and mess it up. So I was like, yeah, I'm just leave that alone. So I started out where content creation goes. I actually started out basically on Newgrounds. If you look me up on Newgrounds as SSJ Dre, you'll find that I had started releasing like songs. Not that great. They're not all that great. I mean, I still own them, but they're not all that great. With the exception of one that was produced by someone else, but I'm the one that owns it. I started out on that with Newgrounds, and just I started out trying to be on like Newgrounds as a writer, but then I got into just messing around and tinkering with music production software, so I was doing that as well. I was on the forums there a lot, and on top of that I was also playing a lot of games on Newgrounds. I was highly active on Newgrounds for a decent period of time. I didn't stay active on there, obviously. 1 second, I need to grab a utensil. Actually, a couple utensils. So I didn't stay active on Newgrounds. I wish I did. Partially. More so because I think I could have done more there. I just didn't spend as much time on there as I should. I probably should. That aside, I also got into shortly after that I got into trying to do like sprite work on DeviantArt, which I think DeviantArt and Newgrounds I kind of was doing both of those concurrently. I'm pretty sure I started on Newgrounds first though. DeviantArt, that account is still there. It's Blood Panther, Pantha. That was where I started trying to tinker around with sprite editing, and I was also still doing the writing stuff. So if you find that account, you will find that there's probably some not so well written drafts of a story that I do actually intend to rewrite. So I will be doing that at some point because I am working on books there. So I got into that, and I just started out with simple sprite recolors. But the problem was I found an editor that required more fine detail work than I was prepared to do, and I didn't know that at first. And then when I did figure that out, and I finally did start doing my recolors more simply, because that's how he started out. He started out as a recolor of 0, because I can't draw. So I started doing simple edits like that and taking stuff that was already in existence and just reworking it, utilizing my recolor of 0, which was he. Now, there was someone, and I'll admit to this myself, someone like Truth, and this happened on both Newgrounds and DeviantArt. Newgrounds, because somebody realized that the music editor I was using had already kind of pre-created some of the sounds. I was inexperienced, I was trying to learn, and this person basically just like went on a tirade about me in one of the forums, and that just kind of killed my joy and want to learn to develop more music out of that, which ticked me off because I still have that desire to kind of work with music, but at the same time it's like if I'm not allowed the space to work in there, I'm not going to want to keep doing it. So I just kind of drifted off of that. And in Newgrounds, someone did the same thing where it was like, okay, you're doing recolors. People start off everywhere. I started off with recolors. And then I started taking bits and pieces of things and putting them together to make new stuff. And somebody decided they wanted to just kind of harp on that. And it's just one of those things where you don't know where somebody may be on something and you could kill their joy in doing it. And I probably would have progressed further into dealing with sprite work because I was planning on doing like a sprite-based comic and stuff, and I had done little mini strips that are on my DeviantArt page. I had an idea in several directions I wanted to go, and then I ended up not doing it because people, not a whole lot of people, but a few people, just kind of shit on the idea, and it was like, well, at that point, what am I doing here? I'm just not going to work on it anymore. During this time frame, I was already working on editorials, because I had started doing editorials for a site called Associated Content. That ended up becoming Yahoo Voices, and I was doing editorials on that. I mean, it paid a little bit. Like, I think it paid like a penny every 1,000 views. I wasn't making a whole lot because, again, I'm not somebody who's well known. I started off just doing random editorials for everything. Then eventually, towards the end of my time with that, I started doing my editorials more gaming based. And that's where great video game ideas not used came from. And during this time frame, people were starting to pick up the songs and things that I had put out on Newgrounds and using them in their animations or videos that were on Newgrounds. A couple people even took some of my stuff and brought it over to YouTube. And they did credit me because I could search myself up and find the stuff. So I know that people did properly credit. It's not like I was sitting there like, oh, you have to pay me for it, because the tools I used, I didn't pay for, so I wasn't going to sit there and be like, oh, hey, you have to pay me to use this. But going from that, I got into doing mini videos. If anybody remembers Extra Normal, at all, where you had they look like little bears, like in the style of Hello Kitty. People were doing automated Extra Normal videos where basically you typed and texted into it, and you could choose the robotic voice that came out of it. I started doing that on the previous YouTube channel I had that YouTube killed. Like they just wiped that channel out before I could even pull all that stuff off of it, because I did actually want to pull all the videos off that channel and eventually like re-release them and with reactions to them, but YouTube canned that, so I can't do it. So I was doing that for a little bit. I think I did that for almost a full year before I actually decided I was going to dedicate time to doing like an actual YouTube channel like this one now that I've been on for 10 years. So I actually translated a few of my editorials to extra normal videos that then ended up being released on YouTube. Again, that company's done with, defunct, so I can't retrieve any of those videos. I can't go back and get them. And again, YouTube kind of just killed that channel, so I have no source to reclaim that stuff from. And back then I wasn't thinking about it like, oh, let me copy these and save them to my computer, because I probably would have back then. I didn't. But then again, I've also had hard drives just die on me, so I also lost a lot of stuff that way. Fun, right? But that's not the end of the story. Getting into YouTube, I started because I originally, what even inspired this channel was seeing Alpha Omega Sin do a video about his love of Pokemon. And at this time, I was in that mindset of, I'm too grown for Pokemon. I'm too grown for all this stuff. So I was your typical normie when it came down to perceptions of things on the internet and gaming. Though I was one of those that was more interested in learning and opening myself up to learning about certain things, I was still technically a normie. So once I got past that stage and I started actually getting into doing videos and content and stuff, and like I started to find out things that I didn't originally know, which has shaped how I have developed on this platform. And while yes, it would be great to be able to just say, hey, I have this massive audience following me, and focus on maybe like one or two things that could be my niche. I like where I am as a person, as a content creator. I like that I can talk about any subject that I'm interested in and actually come up with stuff that I like. Versus trying to solely focus on what content to make all the time that is going to appease the masses. While it would be nice if my channel took off and I got some sort of recognition for it, I don't necessarily need it. It would be nice to do all that. It would be nice to have monetization and stuff, because I don't think there's an issue with monetization if you are doing it and you are happy in who you are or what you are. Which I've like, and I've also thought about like if people wanted to do donations and stuff to the channel, and if I should open something up for that. I haven't done it. That's something you guys can let me know if you are interested in doing that. I can open something up, but there's also my Anchor. Actually, I think I turned it off. I think I turned off listener support on Anchor. But if anybody's interested, I could turn that back on if you're interested, and you can do whatever if you end up wanting to donate to the channel and stuff. But I would rather make things like my books and stuff, like I said before, because I don't want to just be receiving money for nothing. I want to actually do something to earn it. I'm just saying, I don't know what options the people listening are interested or willing to partake in, is what it is. So if anybody has any ideas and you would like me to do something, just let me know. I could do a subscribe star or Patreon, whatever, if that's what people are interested in. Let me actually get back to the subject matter at hand, though, instead of sidetracking like I normally do. So after getting on YouTube, and I think I didn't make a full year on YouTube before I ended up running into the gamers at large. The first person that I actually found from gamers at large was Zen Gamer at the time. I found him, and then I remembered hearing him say something about gamers at large in one of his videos, and then I ended up listening in to a few of the podcasts not too long after that. And I think shortly after that, and me reaching out, I think I reached out on the Gamers at Large page, which was Quan Manchu's page at the time. I think I had made a comment on a couple of the videos talking about how I would like to join in. This is when Hangouts on air, I think, really had just started taking off on YouTube, or Google Hangouts were really being done, and G Plus was around before it got fully integrated into YouTube, mind you. So I reached out. I think the first actual podcast I was on was the one where Cranky Kong was revealed, because I remember I had to work that day, and I was trying to rush back home so I could be on the podcast, because I know I showed up a little bit late. I did get the invitation. I just showed up a little bit late, not because I wanted to be late, but because, again, work in life slows you down on a lot of stuff. So that was that. And sorry, seasoning my food. But I did that, and then I think the following podcast, because I was invited back, the following podcast, Quan called me Giovanni. And I had no idea. I had no idea he was referring to me, because I think he saw the G's and the V, the G and the V and everything, and it just came up Giovanni. It's like, who's Giovanni? And I kind of had no idea how Hangouts worked at the time, so I was like interrupting, unfortunately, to kind of say, hey, Quan, you didn't really say anything about me. He's like, I did. I was like, no, I'm Andre. And that was a whole weird moment. Then we stuck it out. Gamers at Large kind of got pretty large, a lot faster than anybody expected it to. And then a lot of people, we had a fallout. We had a big fallout. And that spot broke off into Reboot Gaming and a couple other things. And then there were other groups that were incorporating themselves into Gamers at Large too, that ended up just going off and doing their own thing like they were doing before anyhow. But the time period before the fallout happened was a lot of fun, because we were doing podcasts. It's like, you know how people do bar hopping, and they just go from bar to bar to bar to bar. There were nights where I would be on 4, maybe 5 different podcasts, bouncing from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Sometimes covering the same subject multiple times, sometimes covering different unique subjects depending on who was running the podcast. And then I got the idea to do my own, which was Gamer Idea Foundry, which I more recently reconverted that into Game Idea Foundry Talk. All those videos are still on my channel. All those streams are still on my channel. If anybody's interested in going back and listening to them, I do want to reprise a few of those. But after the fallout, there was like a month that the Gamers at Large channel went completely dark. And this was during like the whole the bigger Wii U debate everybody was having. and a lot of people going back and forth. I still think a lot of our egos got mixed up in it. At first, I originally thought it was just a few people whose egos got mixed up in it, but I think overall a lot of our egos, like everyone in a general discussion of this situation, a lot of our egos got mixed up. And I think that ultimately is what led us down to the bigger thing of everybody having to fall out. Because the simple disagreements that we had with it, and I mean simple disagreements we had with it, weren't enough reason, I don't think, for all of us to have the situation that we had. And I need to hurry up because I have to hurry and get myself out for work. I may have to pause this and then continue it while I'm out and about. Actually, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. So you guys are going to have to chill for a moment. Okay, and we're back. And you'll have to enjoy some sounds of nature while I am moving. But getting back to where I was, as far as me being on YouTube. Oh, and at this point I was still GVGIing you. This was before I became the Game Idea Guy, which I think I've only been the Game Idea Guy for about 5 years now. Maybe. I have to go back and check the dates on exactly when I changed the name. But getting back to where I was, as I just said, I originally thought that it was just a few select egos that kind of made that well blow up. But as I think about it again over time, it was one of those things where, and there was this weird Nintendo Civil War going on at the time anyhow. But beyond that, I think honestly is just where a lot of us made turns in directions others weren't expecting, and we kind of got a little caught up in our feelings. I would say that was probably the majority. That's why Gamers at Large itself, even though it didn't fully just stop, it just shrunk, and it became more focused on certain people and certain aspects that we ended up covering. But for a little while there, we kept it going. The channel, the actual official GAL channel, is still up. If anyone wants to actually go check it out, see some of the older videos, because we went through a process of, one, reposting some older videos, and then two, sometimes even just having full-on week-long podcasts. I forget who's in control of the channel technically right now. But either way, we were back to just focusing on certain things, because again, the Gamers at Large channel just went dark for a month, especially considering the split and a lot of things that were said back and forth that personally affected many people. There was one particular podcast in general. I think it was the inaugural Reboot Gaming podcast that a lot of things were said in. I unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, never actually listened to it. And I don't know why I didn't listen into it specifically. Others might know better than me. Well, take that back. Others do know better than me what was said there. I only have little snippets that I was told about. So I don't really know exactly how that podcast went down, but I do know that there was definitely, from what I can remember, there was definitely like a good amount of bashing, a healthy amount of bashing. So that made everybody that remained Gamers at Large, we just said, okay, this channel is just going down for a minute. Not like it got taken off, but nothing content-wise was being released on the channel for a little while, for a full 30 days. Then we came back with I believe we came back with a pretty decent podcast. I don't remember exactly which one it was. It'd take a while to go back and look over all that stuff. But I know during this time period, and it was because of everybody complaining about Nintendo, but nobody throwing up any, any ideas or direction or whatever they could go in. That's when I started game ideas that would work on the Wii U. And I did 30 straight days of a video being released for that series. 30 straight days. And that's actually, I think during that year is when I transitioned to becoming the game idea guy versus having great video game ideas not used as the channel moniker. And that's because the game idea guy is easier and it makes more sense for a singular person. Whereas when I was thinking of GVGINU, I was thinking more of it being a group thing, but then I found Gamers at Large and it was like, okay, so this could work as me individually. And that's where I was like thinking, okay, let me switch things over. I know that year, I'm pretty sure that year I also moved from Pennsylvania back down to Maryland. And I believe the last video that I did as GVGINU was a full month before I actually made a new video and then came back as the game idea guy. I think I had changed the channel name well before then. I just hadn't posted up anything, and I had 2 weeks worth of videos that were on the channel because it was a transition period where I was waiting for internet to be available again. I want to say the videos were Sonic CD, and during the time frame that I was out, I made more videos that I was just holding tight and waiting to upload. After that, then I came back as the game idea guy, and I started working under that moniker, that name. Because I want to say that the transition was about 5, maybe 6 years ago. So I might have been the game idea guy for more than 5 years. But yeah, that happened, and I was on some podcasts here and there. I wasn't really active on the podcasting thing. I was just more doing my own videos, and every now and again Jay would come up with something and I'd be like, oh yeah, cool, I'm down for that, let's talk about that. And we would do live discussions like that. So that's where, like, me and Jay, we basically kept working on stuff together, which is why we still do a lot of stuff together when we have the chance. I think there was one reboot gaming podcast I was on. It was the same one Jay was on. I want to say we were talking about The Legend of Zelda. I don't remember exactly. I think we were talking about The Legend of Zelda. But I had a lot of life transitions at the time also, so many of these things are a bit of a blur to me. I just know I was making content. I was getting back heavy into Streets of Rage Remake, because I had started on it, then I took a break on it, then I got back into it, then I took another break, and then I got back into it again later on. Yeah, but I had a lot of, I think shortly after that, maybe a year or two after that, I know the following year, well, not the following year, a couple years had passed, stuff had been going on after me rebranding as the game idea guy. A few people that I had regularly been in contact with started dropping off YouTube. So I really wasn't able to do stuff with them as much as I would have liked. And hey, if anybody's listening at all, I'm up for doing more videos with you guys, more podcasts and more discussions. If anybody else is interested, still interested in working with you guys, even if it's not going to be on a regular basis, just keep in contact on that. Now getting back to what I was saying, I want to say I had, for a while there, because there was another competitor platform that came up. It was vid.me, which is not the same thing now. Boy, I accidentally looked that up and found out it is not the same thing now. I really wish that the company that had been working on it would have been able to remain intact, because I did get a good amount of interaction with that site for the videos I was posting, because I would post them to YouTube and there up until they couldn't anymore, which sucked. That really sucked, because I liked posting stuff over there. So moved on from that. Nintendo Switch gets announced, and after everybody's speculation of what the NX was or would be, and people claiming to know exactly what it was, and then they were dead wrong, and oh, that was a fun time where the rumors were running everywhere, and we're about to hit that time again very, very soon. Actually, we're already starting that, but that's a different subject. But I was adamantly active during this time frame. I was putting out a lot of videos. So again, if I don't remember a whole lot of stuff, I mean, it's kind of documented on my channel. But there was another time frame, another move. Again, more personal things happened in my life that kind of derailed me a little bit. And during one of those time frames was where me and Jay started the Winging It podcast. And I remember the night that we started it, we still hadn't come up with a name. We still had not come up with a name for it. And then it was like, in the middle of starting the podcast, in the middle of starting the beginning of the podcast, I was just like, why don't we just call it Winging It? And that's how that name stuck. And I'm actually happy that that's the name we went with, because it feels more natural to how we behave and how we talk while we're doing a podcast, while we're doing discussions. So I think actually that was highly appropriate. So as for more people that are more recent to my channel know, I had a divorce, and then I kind of went off on doing my own thing for a little bit, still trying to keep up with the podcast. And then I got into job and working, and now I'm not as active as often as I would like to be on YouTube and other social platforms, which is why you guys have been starting to see me doing like little clips and stuff from Nintendo Switch. And that's mostly because I don't want to not have content. So I'm trying to get to the point where I'm at least posting something once a day. Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be drawn out and extravagant and all that, but I'm trying to post stuff at least once a day. Now, throwing along the side that I just got also onto other platforms. I'm on Rumble more recently. There's a few others that my stuff is on. I'm on Spotify, which Anchor became Spotify for podcasters. I'm on actually a lot of platforms where it comes down to podcasting. I'm now on the Wisdom app, which if anybody's interested, I think I left the link in the description. It may not be on this video, unfortunately, because I'm going to be posting it from mobile. So when I get back home, I'll probably copy and paste the stuff over into the description, because this is going to take a long while to upload. I know, because of how big it is. But I want to do more with my channel. I want to work more on my channel. And again, I would love to be able to monetize, because then I could focus more on it and I could do more stuff, and potentially even just like not have to go to my job and maybe just work from home, especially since I'll be writing and producing books. Now, if anybody's interested, I do have a few books on Amazon right now. You can look them up. Actually, if you look up The Game Idea Guy on Amazon, you should come across the first word search book I've done. That one was a struggle because the engine that I was using for it took a while. I found a new engine since then, which I am working on to do more puzzles. I'm actually going to do 100 puzzle word search book in the very near future. Hopefully it'll be released this year. If not, it'll be released early next year. Also working on a new poetry book. Working on a short stories book as well. Most of the short stories are going to be just potentially little preludes to stuff I'm actually trying to get done, like the novels I want to write. So I'm trying to keep myself active and busy with a lot of stuff. I'm also working on setting myself up to have more resources available to myself that will allow me more flexibility. So there's a great deal of things that I'm trying to accomplish and get done. Hopefully I'll be able to start doing more. I want to be more active with my social media stuff. I know that my clips from my Switch do fantastic on Facebook. Like, a lot of them are in the 1,000 view category for me to be somebody who's completely unknown to a lot of people, and that page is fairly recent. Which I'm going to post that both here, and I'm going to post that on YouTube as well as Facebook. I'm posting this on YouTube as well as Facebook. Facebook maybe later in the day. But I am trying to do more of content, spread my content out more, get myself built up in more places so that I can have, one, multiple platforms to house my content, and two, people can transition back and forth between whatever they're using at the time and they can find me. Before, I stuck with several strict places, and now I'm kind of trying to branch out, and I think that I should have just done that from the get-go when I actually had time to do it. But now I'm just like, yeah, I should have done this before. But I think going forward, hopefully I'm still doing this in the next 10 years. I don't know. Because there were several times I did believe I was going to quit. I don't think I ever really expressed that to anybody, but there were several times I really just was planning to quit. I was just going to leave the channel there and just, if it died, it died. Whatever happened to it. But at the same time, I have so much stuff going on in my head, so many thoughts and so many ideas that I would like to talk about. It's like, do I really want to just kill this idea off and not do anything with it? No, I don't want to do that. But eventually I would like to, one, I need to do a new website. The one I currently have is shabby as all hell. Actually, what I should do more or less is get rid of the website I currently have and start working on articles and editorials for the Winging It podcast page that Jay made. That's what I should be doing. Once I have the proper resource in place, I may be doing that to have more content there and to give more thoughts and espouse more things that can be over there. Now, I think that's really where I'm gonna end up calling it quits here. I know that this was a very, very long video, and I do apologize that it had to be broken up and have a lot of noises for the latter half, but I didn't want to lose my thoughts. So I was like, it's just going to be a hit I have to take. But I do enjoy being on here. I know I kind of glossed over a lot of stuff, not because I wanted to, but I was trying to keep this as concise as possible with knowing that it was going to be long anyway. So I'm going to try my best to, one, work on this channel for YouTube, hopefully build it up to over 1,000 subscribers and get my watch time up, which means you probably will be having longer discussions out of me again, like I used to do. And secondly, I want to hit the ground running more often. I'm trying to figure out a good day for getting back into doing my podcast because my work schedule is more settled now. So I'll have to be talking with the guys about that. But if anybody's interested, let me know and we'll work something out. I may plan it for, if Thursday evenings are free for a lot of people, I may plan it for Thursday evenings. Again, I also have to talk with my wife about that so she knows what I'm doing and I can get back on track with doing game idea foundry talk. And I want to get back into the role of doing all of the other discussion types I have. Again, you guys don't know how much stuff I just have sitting, waiting to be used. But that's a whole different discussion for a different day, and I need to stop rambling. So hopefully people who are new to the channel have found this to be informative if you sat through this whole thing. And for the old heads that have been around, maybe I hit some nostalgia points for y'all, maybe some nerves and perspectives you didn't think about might have been triggered. But overall, I do hope that I communicated properly, for one. And two, that I actually have more time to dedicate to doing stuff on my social media platforms. Maybe even get my family more involved, because I've been wanting to do that, but I'll have to discuss with people about their schedules and work around whatever they got going on. But that's it here for now. Thank you guys very much for listening in and being patient with me. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out, everybody.